So after criticizing the Pope, President Trump then posted this image on social media. It's clearly AI, but appears to depict the president as Jesus. But today, when asked about it, the president says it shows him as a doctor.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support.
This prompted a lot of backlash. Many of his supporters did not like that image he posted, and many of them did not like what he said about the Pope either. The president did something that we don't see very often. He actually took down that image.
So you've already seen that Trump posted that AI image of himself as Jesus Christ. But what you might not have seen is that he admitted to posting it, but he said that he was a doctor in the picture, right? A doctor in a flowing white robe with glowing hands, healing the sick while bald eagles fly overhead next to fighter jets. A photo that Christians across the spectrum called blasphemous. You had MTG saying it was more than blasphemy, saying that it's Antichrist spirit. You had Daily Wire host demanding that he take it down, the Knights Templar calling it outrageous, and Trump ended up deleting it the next morning. Again, telling reporters, I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with the Red Cross. He called the backlash fake news. This also came less than an hour after he went off on Pope Leo, writing, Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. Also claiming the church only made Leo the Pope to deal with Trump, saying if I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. And understand, all the Pope's done is call for peace and said that Trump's threat to destroy an entire civilization was truly unacceptable. But then Trump's response was, I don't want a Pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela. But Leo, he's standing firm, saying, I have no fear of the Trump administration, and saying he's not interested in debating Trump, he just believes in the gospel's message of peace. Also notably, reports surface that administration officials had threatened the Vatican over the Pope's criticism, right? And all this happened on the same weekend that Trump declared a naval blockade of Iran's ports. And all of that just in one weekend. So hey, for now, follow to stay in the loop, share to spread the word, and try to stay sane if you can.
He's not the Pope. He's not God.
I believe he's been chosen by God.
I think he thinks a little too much of himself.
The Pope is doing what God has blessed him to do.
His position is not to debate with somebody.
I think it will blow over anyways. Two people not happy with the way things are turning out.
I think that the photo was very disrespectful.
Words can't explain it. It just feels, it feels wrong.
I look at it to be a religious and presenting himself as a religious person.
I would say it's somewhat sacrilegious, but understanding President Trump, it does not surprise me.
I've been commenting on Facebook that he's a godsend. For me, he's doing good.
He's portraying himself as like a savior in some way. I mean, he may want to implement some ideas that may serve the country well, but he's in no way a savior.
Here's something you almost never see President Trump do: delete a controversial social media post. And yet, the president has done just that after sharing an image that depicted him as Jesus Christ.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. Only the fake news could come up with that one. I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor.
Now, the president posted this image on his Truth Social page, and shortly thereafter started getting some backlash from people who were typically supporters of his, including prominent evangelicals and figures on the right, including Riley Gaines, who's been a guest at the White House and questioned why the president would share that image in the first place. She wrote, I cannot understand why he'd post this. Is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? It was only a few hours later that the president deleted that image that he had shared on Truth Social, one that he had posted in the hours after he had criticized the Pope online, calling the Pope too liberal after he spoke out against the United States' war in Iran. Now, the president did not delete his criticism of the Pope, but he did delete the one that made him look like he was Jesus Christ.
MAGA, you voted a crazy president. How dare say? You never knew what you posted. The guy is saying, oh, that is a doctor. This guy is a joke.
Why did you attack Pope Leo on Truth Social?
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases, they're outside 10 feet apart, and they were arrested. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapons so they can blow up the world. No, I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
Now this is the Pope. Hear what the Pope is saying.
Politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loud against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states, to look for just solutions to problems. Too many people are suffering in the world today. Too many innocent people are being killed. And I think someone has to stand up and say, there's a better way to do this.
Guess what? He's literally trying to stop crime because what you are doing in the Middle East is criminal. Everybody is telling you that. You've lost a large portion of your base. You have lost Maha. You've lost Megyn Kelly. You've lost B. You've lost Alex Jones. You've lost, and that's just in terms of the commentariat, if you will. And you refuse to see reality. You just refuse to see reality. You're so convinced that you can just drop another tweet. And of course, he then dropped a picture of himself as Jesus Christ on top of that, and got even backlash from the Protestants who said this is completely inappropriate. And his response, this is the image, by the way, if you have not seen it, obviously, healing the sick. And his response to dropping that was that he didn't realize that that was supposed to be Jesus, and that he thought that the AI image was suggesting that he is a healer and a doctor, because he is a doctor in his own mind. So that's his excuse for just continuing to be so disrespectful to Christians. He offered, as opposed to just saying, I'm sorry, this AI image was not appropriate. It went out. People were not thinking, thought it was funny, poor taste. He came out with an excuse that he thought he was a doctor. Take a listen.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross, as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
He thought he was a Red Cross doctor, so that's why he posted it, because, like, obviously he was what year was that, Ashley, that he was a doctor, Skylar? I'm sorry, I just need to produce a note. Can we ask Charlie GPT? Okay. When did he, where it's not coming up for us that Trump was ever a doctor. So I don't know why he would feel that the image was relating to him as a doctor for Red Cross healing the sick. That seems, and wearing that particular getup doesn't feel to me like he was a Red Cross doctor. But that's the slop we're getting. It's been a sloppy year, my friends. It's been a fetty sloppy year. And so we're just going to keep getting it. We're just going to keep getting it. Anyways, let's get to some comments before I leave. We have Kimberly Wood. These are the top comments from last episode. Kimberly Wood writes, Charlie died free. You will die a slave. Quoting me. That hit hard, man. It is the reality. Slavery is a choice. And people laughed when Kanye said that, but I hope people aren't laughing anymore, because to have those restrictions, to do those things, and to be made a mockery. What is all the wealth and buildings and names when people have this perception of you, as unable to just make your own day-to-day decisions? The next person wrote, Candace has presented more evidence that Brigitte is a man than Trump has presented that Iran is a threat to the USA. Think about that. Yeah. It's actually crazy that you keep saying Iran is a threat to the USA. You presented no evidence. I have done almost 2 seasons producing. Xavier Boussard spent 8 years in that book. Maybe you should read it. But whatever. Everyone's allowed to have a type, and your type is Brigitte Macron. It's fine. If you think you can make fetch happen, Gretchen, you go for it. You cannot support Trump in this moment. And I have to say, His Holiness was very precise in how he responded to the attacks. If we could just pull up that video of what he had to say. Take a listen.
I basically said that the message of the church, my message, the message of the gospel, blessed are the peacemakers. I do not look at my role as being politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loud against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states to look for just solutions to problems. Too many people are suffering in the world today. Too many innocent people are being killed. And I think someone has to stand up and say there's a better way to do this.
Now let's cut to what Trump had to say when he was asked about why he attacked the Pope. Take a listen.
This just happened while you and I were on the air. Look at this soundbite of him trying to claim he, for the listening audience, he imposed a demon behind him in this picture. He took it from an artist online who does these often, and he changed what was a soldier in the sky behind him into a demon, into a Satan figure, and put himself in the main role. There's a woman praying at like his altar, his right hand, and he's got the glowing white light in the left hand, and there's a glowing light all around him. He's very clearly trying to paint himself as Jesus, and now he's claiming he was just trying to paint himself as a doctor. Listen.
And did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross, as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's going through some very serious cancer treatment, so
yes,
this goes a long way.
Yes, sir, it sure does.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just, okay. By the way, Trump didn't personally do the artwork. He posted it. He reposted somebody else's handiwork. Why did we have to have a Satan behind you if you were a doctor? Why is someone praying at your right wrist? Why is there a glowing white light in your left hand? Why do you have the robes of a Jesus-like figure and not a doctor's coat on? It's just, this is the stuff I can't stand, and then we get lied to about it. It's an obvious lie.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump is admitting to posting the picture of him as Jesus, but is claiming that it wasn't him as Jesus, it was him as a doctor, part of the Red Cross. Not making this up. This is a serious thing. So I want you to decide for yourself. This is the image. You've seen it on the internet. Trump says that this is him depicting himself as a doctor, part of the Red Cross. Not Jesus, but doctor as a member of the Red Cross. That's what the president says this is. And mind you, his supporters pretty much knew what it was because they started calling him the Antichrist from the beginning, demanding that he apologize. They knew that this was depicting him as Jesus, not as a doctor, part of the Red Cross. But the president of the United States is actively, and he's blaming the media, by the way. He says only the media could think of something like that this was Jesus and not of him as a doctor, because according to him, he thinks it's pretty evident that this is him as a doctor. Any events, spread the word. Subscribe to my Substack link in bio to support my work. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Sir, did you post a picture depicting yourself as Jesus?
I did post it, and it wasn't meant to be Jesus at all. It was meant to be me as a doctor. And I would have made a great doctor because I make people better. I do. Jesus, he wasn't a doctor. He was a carpenter. We know that. But he could have been a doctor. He was a Jewish guy. He was a great Jewish guy. He could have been a great doctor, as a lot of Jewish people are. But I could have been a doctor, too. And we have Dr. Oz, who's a great doctor. We love Dr. Oz. But that's what it was meant to portray. I mean, I could have been a gynecologist, and with these hands, I guarantee you there's no problem. I could have done all kinds of things in medicine. You know, I could have stitched people up just like I sealed the southern border. I'm very good at that. You know what Biden would have been if he was a doctor? He would have been a doctor without borders. That's what he would have been, because that's what this country was. It was run by a doctor without borders, and we fixed that. I could have been a gastro, you know, giving people beautiful colonoscopies. Opening them up like the Strait of Hormuz, I would have done that. And so that's what that's depicting. It's me as a doctor. Dr. Jesus. Sorry, what?
Millions saw one thing.
It wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross, as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So it's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better. And I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
He says it was something else entirely. He posted himself as Jesus Christ, then claimed it was just a Red Cross doctor. Is this how doctor look like? Many are calling this a blasphemy. This response raises serious credibility concerns. The image clearly depicted a religious figure resembling Jesus Christ, not a doctor or a humanitarian worker. Claiming it was related to the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement appears misleading and dismissive of public criticism. Such statements can be seen as avoiding accountability rather than addressing the issue directly. For many people, using sacred religious imagery for political or personal branding is deeply offensive. Dismissing it as a misunderstanding risks further alienating religious communities. In short, the explanation doesn't align with what people actually saw, making it harder to trust the response.
I was in prayer today when the Lord began to minister to me concerning two things and told me to warn the body of Christ of this. And not just the body of Christ, but anyone who will heed the words of God. While I was in prayer, the Lord spoke to me concerning Candace Owens. Now, I know many people like her. They love her. They watch her. They listen to her. But God told me to tell the people to mark and avoid this woman. Beware of this woman. As I was praying, the Lord began to minister to me, and he brought back a dream that he had showed me last year. And in this dream, I saw Candace Owens walking into her office. As she was getting ready to take a seat, I saw a demonic spirit standing behind her. It was shadowing her. Going anywhere she went, it was following her. When she sat down, this spirit stood behind her. When the Lord reminded me of this dream, he began to minister to me concerning it. And he said that she has come with a strong delusion. She has come with the spirit of chaos and confusion. She has also come to divide, says the Spirit of the Lord. Not just that, but this woman has come to bring distraction. As I began to pray even the more, the Lord showed me the words, occult. There is an assignment that this woman is on. It's going to cause many people to go astray if they continue to listen to her. The second thing that the Lord spoke to me about while I was in prayer was Donald Trump. Now, I know a lot of people do not like him, can't stand him, but the word of God will be released. As I was praying, the Lord said to me, I am ministering to his heart. God showed me this man giving his life to him. This man giving his life to Christ, surrendering to Christ. The reason why the Lord showed this to me was to tell the people to keep the President of the United States in prayer, that God's will be done concerning his life. Even though he's a president, he still has a soul. There's a soul within him that God desires to save. So God told me to warn the people to keep him in prayer. Do not stop praying for him. Do not stop praying that the will of God will be done. God is speaking, and it's time for the people to wake up and heed the words of the Lord. We are living in perilous times, and many are going astray because of false doctrine, false teaching, because they choose not to accept the truth. Wake up, says God.
Said he posted that image himself. He did not blame it on anyone else. And so you can get the full picture. This is the image he posted, and he said he thought it depicted him as a doctor because he makes people better. Now, I don't know what that means, but the fact is, Donald Trump is not a doctor in any capacity. But that's not all the president just said. He also addressed what he said about Pope Leo on social media. So you may have missed it over the weekend, but President Trump has been going after Pope Leo over the Pope's criticism of this war in Iran. Well, Trump does not like that, and he said on his social media page that Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. Just for the record, the Pope does not set any kind of policy for domestic issues like crime, nor does he set any foreign policy. He's the Pope. He's the religious leader of the Catholic Church. Trump then went on to suggest that the only reason why Pope Leo was selected to be the Pope was because of Trump. So Trump wrote, Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be Pope and was only put there by the church because he was an American and they thought that would be the best way to deal with President Donald J. Trump. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Now, there's no way to know if that is true or not, but Pope Leo has said that he is not afraid of the president or of the Trump administration when asked about all of this. And he said his job as Pope is to preach the gospel, which he says teaches peace.
now says you owe Pope Leo an apology. Will you apologize?
No, I don't, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime and other things. So I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo, and his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. Now you have to have law and order in our country. We believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that. So there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong.
Did you all hear about this story of Trump posting an image of himself on social media that showed him in religious-style robes with a bright light and imagery that many people interpreted as resembling Jesus? The image sparked major backlash online, including from some religious leaders and Christian supporters who said they were offended by it. Now, Trump did later address it and said he didn't see it that way. He said he believed the image was portraying him as a doctor, not Jesus, and that he took the post down because he didn't want people to be confused. He said, quote, "I make people better," when explaining how he viewed the image. Now, the post itself was deleted, but it drew a lot of attention and reaction, as you can imagine, while it was up. So now it's one of those moments where people are looking at the same thing very differently, which raises a lot of questions. How should public figures think about how something like that is going to be interpreted before they post it? I apologize for laughing. It was just funny that he said that he thought he was a doctor, but I gotta know. What do you think about this one in the comment section? Appreciate you.
Guys, don't worry. It was all a misunderstanding. Donald Trump wasn't portraying himself as Jesus. Duh. He was portraying himself as a doctor.
Did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't a picture. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So
Crisis averted, right? Whew. I thought Trump was a bad guy, but good explanation. It is weird that it was right overlapping with him beefing with the Pope for some reason, but whatever. Guys, listen, in all seriousness, MAGA, this is your chance. You're at a crossroads. You're at the point in the cult where you walk in to the leader's bedroom and he's butt naked. And then you have to make a decision where he's going to say something like, "This will bring us closer to America. I was told this would make America great. Come on into bed with me." You have to say no. I know. It's been 10 years. You can say no. If this has to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, if it wasn't all the sexual assault and all the other insane stuff that y'all have overlooked, we don't need to do 3 more years of this. We have the 25th Amendment. For the love of God, please give up on this man. Move on. We'll turn the lights out. Everyone can leave the room and we can move on. That's not true. I'm going to hate you forever for this.
He is nothing like Jesus Christ. In fact, Trump is not even a Christian. Trump is very clearly under demonic influence. I think Paula White probably put a spell on him of some sort. I mean, he is surrounded by, ironically, the very thing that he accuses me and Meghan and Tucker of being, because we're calling for peace. We're calling for peace. And he's like, these people are nut jobs. And then he has people like Laura Loomer, who has been forcibly placed on Site 5150 holds as his number one advisor. She's like, I'm advising him. We got Paula White, who's telling him he's akin to Jesus Christ, which is absolutely blasphemous. And he thinks these people are totally sane. Again, very scary to be that far in the cave. He is so in the cave. He is so convinced of his own invincibility. It is completely unhinged that he was deeply upset by the Pope telling him the truth. The Catholic perspective is that this is an unjust war, because it is. Obviously. Okay. You can't just decide that you want to take things from Iran, or rather not decide, but Bibi tells you you're going to take things from Iran, and then you just do it and you put American lives at risk. It's unjust. Even honestly, if you remove Catholicism, it's just unjust in general. It's morally contemptible what you are doing in the Middle East. Okay. And forget the part that you went against every single one of your promises, betrayed your base, betrayed the people that were out there trying to get votes for you, betrayed the Charlie Kirk, you betrayed Megyn Kelly, you betrayed Tucker Carlson, you betrayed me. I just, so you know, could not care less. I am very happy to die with my soul intact. And now you have him just swinging at the Pope. This is what he said on X, and his excuse is amazing. He said, Pope Leo is weak on crime. Like, this is not a tweet. We're not talking about Hillary Clinton. Okay. He's talking about the Pope. He's not running against the Pope. Pope Leo is weak on crime, terrible for foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and all other Christian organizations had during COVID. What? When they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else. Why would he talk about that? That's not happening right now. What? He wants him to get into a time machine and talk about what's going on in 2021. Okay. He goes on. I like his brother Louis much better than I like him. Oh, okay. Because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it and Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon for the last 25 years, according to Bibi Netanyahu. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States and even worse, emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and killers into our country. And I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States because I'm doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide to do, setting record low numbers.
Many people will find that explanation by him absolutely laughable.
It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
Now tell me why that clip gives me the same energy as this.
Do I need to be liked? Absolutely not. I like to be liked. I enjoy being liked. I have to be liked.
Now, of course, it's important context that this is all going down while Trump is beefing with Pope Leo. Trump criticized Pope Leo for his stance on the Iranian war and refused to apologize, and then, of course, posted this. And people have every right to be upset about this. I'm not disputing that at all. However, like many people on the internet, I have to wonder, why is this where we're drawing the line? And I'm not saying we shouldn't condemn this, and people absolutely have a right to feel offended by it. It's blasphemy. But have there not been enough offenses prior to this? Is this the first thing that's bothered you about Trump?
This is not right.
Where have you been? And I'm sure the ignorance is bliss. Anyways, do you think Trump will get into heaven for beefing with the Pope? Let me know in the comments.
In today's What Could Possibly Be Reported, Trump has admitted that he posted that AI-generated picture depicting himself as Jesus. But get this, he says it was just portraying himself as a doctor. Take a listen to what he just said.
Yeah, I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there.
This picture right here. Just displaying himself as a doctor. And that, of course, the media, the fake news media, is the only one who could come up with saying he was presenting himself as Jesus. Now, we know he got a lot of pushback from other political leaders and his supporters saying that this had gone too far. He basically said this just depicted him as a doctor, making people feel better, working with the Red Cross as a Red Cross worker, and that only the fake news would depict that this is him representing Jesus. Can you believe this? This just gets crazier by the second, not the minute, but the second. I believe Trump knew exactly what he was doing. Let me know.
President Donald Trump found himself in hot water yet again after he launched an attack on Pope Leo on Sunday. Trump lashed out at the Pope on Truth Social first and later while speaking to reporters by saying that the Pope was weak on crime and claimed that he was not a fan.
We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo.
Trump's post followed Pope Leo's denunciation of the U.S. war with Iran, in which the Pope urged political leaders to stop fighting and negotiate peace.
Hopefully he's looking for a way to decrease the amount of violence, of bombing.
Soon after Trump's comments, Pope Leo hit back, saying he has no fear of the Trump administration, and clarified that he was not targeting Trump specifically when he made his anti-war remarks.
The things that I say are certainly not meant as attacks on anyone. And the message of the gospel is very clear. Blessed are the peacemakers. I will not shy away from announcing the message of the gospel.
The president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, Archbishop Paul S. Coakley, also criticized Trump for his comments about the Pope and said that he was disheartened. The criticism kept mounting as Trump posted an AI-generated image depicting himself as Jesus Christ on Truth Social on Sunday, which some prominent conservatives condemned. Marjorie Taylor Greene and other social media users denounced the picture, calling it blasphemy and referencing the Antichrist. Pope Leo's criticism of the conflict in the Middle East has become more pointed since Trump recently threatened Iran by saying he could wipe out a whole civilization. Has Trump finally gone too far? With prominent conservatives condemning him, the president has definitely struck a nerve.
Well, you might have seen this on your social media feeds. President Trump posting this AI-generated image that appears to depict the president as a Jesus-like figure healing a person in a hospital bed. It was posted shortly after the president clashed with Pope Leo. The White House pulled down the image after backlash from many in the religious community. Now, the president later saying that he thought it made him look like a doctor with a red cross. We are hearing from people around Chicago tonight. Follow ABC 7 Chicago for updates.
This is a religious war. Now, who is going to win? Because the guy is saying that he thought he's a doctor after posting an AI mocking Jesus, mocking God. Maga, see what you did? You voted a crazy, mad person in the office. Doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't remember what he's talking about. The guy is getting crazy day by day. I think he's a good comedian. Is there any theater where we can take him? He's a good comedian. Every day keeps on giving us content. He's supposed to be in the office.
Well, he finally took it down. I'm talking about this post. But, my God, the bullshit that he fed the media. Trump on AI Jesus image. I thought it was me as a doctor. And I'm a porn star with a 12-inch cock. Anyway, President Trump told reporters on Monday that the AI image appearing to depict him as Jesus Christ was actually an image of Trump as a doctor healing people. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with the Red Cross, as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, Trump told reporters outside the Oval Office. Only the fake news could come up with that one, he continued. I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor, making people better, and I do make people better. And just like a pair of golden Trump sneakers and tickets to go see the Melania movie, I ain't buying it. Let's go through this bullshit statement, shall we? We're supposed to believe that this image got none of its influence from this, or 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 any other illustration of Jesus Christ. Second of all, a fucking doctor? I mean, maybe Doctor Strange with the glowy hands. I mean, why is Jeffrey Epstein glowing from your touch? And why is this woman praying to you? And what's with all the hallelujah in the sky? And finally, the fucking Red Cross. See, this is what somebody looks like when they work with the American Red Cross. And there is a big tell. The big Red Cross on the backs of their fucking vests. So once again, he was caught in another lie and he took the post down. I checked Truth Social. It isn't there anymore. But this is still up, so he hasn't abandoned all of his dreams yet.
Trump has crossed a line. Or at least that's what some Christians are saying right now. In case you missed it, Trump posted an AI-generated photo of himself as Jesus. Sean Fout, Michael Knowles, Riley Gaines, and Allie Beth Stuckey all condemned it. And they're just adding to the opinions of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens, who have been criticizing Trump for a few months now. And to all of that I say good. Christians should be speaking up about this, especially if they were vocal about their support of him. It absolutely deserves condemnation. But I have one question to everyone who's calling it blasphemy. Why are you drawing the line at blasphemy? Because this isn't exactly out of character. This is who he is and this is who he has been. This is the man who bragged on tape about grabbing women without their consent. He's been found liable for things that I can't talk about here in civil court, and he stored classified documents in his private residence. He also told us in 2015 that he's never asked God for forgiveness because he doesn't think he needs it. This week, he attacked the Pope on social media after the Pentagon reportedly warned the Vatican that America has the military power to do whatever it wants in the world and that the Vatican should take America's side. Then we have 2 weeks ago, 100 faith leaders stood in the White House while Paula White compared Trump's political history to the resurrection and crucifixion of Jesus. None of them said anything. Franklin Graham and Robert Jeffress were barely bothered when he used the F word in a Truth Social post on Easter. And in that same post, he threatened to bomb a nation's entire civilian infrastructure. But yeah, let's draw the line at an AI image. Here's another question. Why is it that dozens of conservative Christian political commentators have at least called out one of these events, but actual pastors and spiritual leaders really haven't? I think I can tell you why. When you have publicly declared from the pulpit, on television, and on social media that Donald Trump is God's chosen candidate, especially as a pastor or a spiritual leader, you have laid a trap for yourself. If that candidate ends up being more like a Saul than a David, then you have 3 different options. You can either admit that God was wrong, you can admit that you were deceived, or you can admit that you lied. And since every one of those options damages either your reputation or God's, you can also choose a 4th option. You can just dig in your heels and explain it away or pivot to saying, well, the other side is worse. In doing so, you're taking the witness of Christianity down with you. Political commentators, on the other hand, they can hide behind the fact that they have no formal spiritual or theological education, or they can say that they voted for him for his policies that ended up not working out as they expected, not because of a divine mandate. Pastors don't have that luxury. And that all brings me back to the AI-generated image, because that feels like a threat to God. Grabbing women by the you-know-what, mocking others, taking away aid to the vulnerable, greed, and a lust for power are just offenses against people, right? We can excuse that. Christians sin against others all the time. Trump is only human. But what does Jesus have to say about that? Just as you did it to one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me. We offend God when we offend those made in his image. The prophet Micah asked, what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Not to protect the name of God from memes while tolerating the things that God most consistently condemns, like the exploitation of the poor, the abuse of power, and the bearing of false witness against your neighbor. If your moral threshold is calibrated to protect your feelings about God rather than to protect the people that God tells you to protect, the ones that are made in his image, maybe you're just defending a version of Jesus that doesn't actually exist. I have lost count of the number of people who say that they cannot take Christianity seriously because of what they see Christians defending. And I understand the instinct for Christians to say, that's not real Christianity, or don't judge the faith by its worst representatives. But the problem with that response is that the people supporting this are not fringe Christians. They're not a minority group. In fact, 82% of evangelical Christians voted for Trump in 2024. They are some of the most prominent Christian leaders in this country. They've built institutions, they've written books, they've trained pastors, and they've shaped the faith of millions of people. When they stand and clap while a president is compared to the suffering Christ and refuse to speak out when he posts junk like this on social media, or when he uses the F word to threaten a country on Easter morning, the watching world is not wrong to question the validity of our entire faith. And here's the thing, Christian leaders are not being asked to become martyrs for their faith like many of the first apostles were. They are just being asked to say that these things are bad and maybe we shouldn't support this guy. That's literally it. Those are low bars, and for over a decade, they've managed to limbo under it. To everyone who finally found their voice this week over the Jesus image, I am genuinely glad that you did, but I want to ask you to keep going. Because the integrity of your witness is not measured by whether or not you condemned a singular social media post. It's measured by whether you were willing to apply the same moral standard consistently, regardless of what it costs you, either politically, socially, or relationally. If you are loud in your support for Donald Trump on a Christian basis, you need to be equally as loud in your rebuke. And that's not because of politics, it's because of faith and witness. The world's watching, and they're drawing pretty strong conclusions about what Christianity actually is. And right now, the evidence available to them suggests that the church's threshold for outrage is not hurting people, it's just an AI-generated image. The louder your silence, the further people walk from the door of the church.
Trump is crazy. Don't know how it's going to end. Now his regime is going to end. Has destroyed people. The guy is running mad. The guy is running crazy. He's a doctor. So a doctor is trying to cure all your diseases. And it's cure. He went to Venezuela. Those guys, they don't have any disease now. That is the doctor we are talking about. Dr. Jesus Trump.
I don't think I've woken up this happy in a long time. Yes, I just woke up. Because, hey, my brain's like, hey, Orban's gone. Every day we are closer and closer to Trump being gone, whether that's fake God takes him away or we vote him out or he leaves some other way. I don't know at this point, but you can feel it. You can taste it. We're getting there. There's hope. Like I had a ton of hope injected into my veins yesterday when Orban lost. And the fact that JD was there and Trump tried to bribe the Hungarians, and they still lost by a landslide. So there was that, waking up with that kind of hope. But the other thing that I thought, which has me absolutely lit, thrilled, excited, looking forward to, that Caroline Levitt has to stand in front of that goddamn microphone with her cross, and she has to take questions about Trump blockading the blockade, about Orban losing, about saying all that shit to the Pope, and then posting that picture of him as Jesus, healing. But here's the thing that a lot of you don't know about that. Someone else posted that first. And then the White House took it and they added that demon thing up there. That was added by Barron or whoever. Yeah, that was added in there. So it isn't just, why did Trump post that? But why did he post that and add a fucking demon at the top? So today is a day that Carolyn Levitt has earned, and so have we.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks. Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.